It's been 4 decades since a groundbreaking law known as the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, took effect. Today, it helps ensure that more than 6 million students with disabilities have the right to a free and appropriate public education. But in many places, it's been a struggle getting schools to comply with the law, and nearly 100 class action lawsuits have been filed. Special correspondent John Telenko with our partners at Education Week follows the impact of one such case in California. That's part of our weekly Tuesday night look at education, Making the Grade.
Los Angeles, California is the nation's second largest school system. And like other big cities across the country, it's been the site of a pitched legal battle over special education. The story begins in the early 1990s with a student named Shonda Smith, who was dyslexic and by high school could barely read.
Just like a bunch of words just scribbling on a paper, just everything just scribbling or just, it was very overwhelming. My mom told the teachers and everything, but after the 3rd grade, I never got any help.
Now 39 and a mother of 4, Shonda continues to struggle with a learning disability.
It affected me a lot. It's hard for me to get a job. I'm always having big worries because I have to take care of my family. And it's kind of sad because when I have to go up to my 10-year-old, can you read this for mommy? You know, I have a grandson now. I want to be able to read him a story. And that's something that I can't do. I feel like it's been taken away from me for what reason? So, you know, it's really hard and emotional.
Shonda was lost. They hadn't identified her. They didn't know where her records were. And so they weren't providing adequate service to her. They were virtually providing no services to her.
Shonda's story was a familiar one to David Rostetter. He's a court-appointed monitor charged with ensuring schools in Los Angeles and elsewhere comply with special education laws.
I've had a lot of superintendents around the country. I'll go to them and say, you know, this is really bad over here. I mean, this is a budding loose lawsuit, and it's patently illegal. And their answer will actually be, literally be, I'll deal with it when we get sued about it. Thanks for your advice, Dave.
That was the case for Shonda Smith. Despite repeated requests for help, LA Unified did nothing until 1993, when Shonda's mother took action. A single case of neglect turned into a class action lawsuit that exposed a woefully broken system. Thousands of students were not identified or misidentified. Nearly 1/3 of all special education teachers were unlicensed, and procedures for tracking student records were non-existent. The lawsuit pushed Los Angeles into a settlement agreement, imposing federal court oversight until the problems could be fixed. That was nearly 20 years ago.
Good morning to you.
Today, much has changed for the district's 80,000 students with special needs. Evaluations for services, for example, take less than 90 days. Most special education teachers are certified. Academic performance for students with disabilities has improved, and the graduation rate is up, although it's still short of the rate for students with disabilities nationwide. The biggest change to Sharon Howell, who directs special education services here, has been in people's attitudes.
I see a much different conversation than I used to see about our students. And it really is about people wanting them to perform academically and having expectations for them.
Very good.
What we've been working on, for a number of years is to convince people that students with disabilities are all of our responsibility. They don't belong to the Division of Special Education.
Most simply need extra help and are already in regular classrooms. Those with greater needs are just beginning to make the transition. In the last 3 years, the district's been moving these students from 18 special education centers into neighborhood schools like Grandview Elementary.
What used to be 2 separate communities, now we've become one community, an integrated community.
Principal Alfredo Ortiz has managed an influx of new students from the school next door.
We had McBride, which was a special education center.
McBride was one of the schools exclusively for students with disabilities. It was separated by a chain-link fence.
And as you can tell, the fence has come down, so now we're one campus.
89 students from McBride and other schools moved into Grandview, increasing its special education population by 50%. Most of the new students spend the majority of their day in classes like Maria Ventura's. She teaches 8 students on the autism spectrum.
Very cool.
To help develop their social skills, every morning she invites kindergartners to her classroom for a shared lesson.
1, 2, 3, go. This is circle time. As a kindergarten teacher, I used to do that. And so when becoming a special ed, I collaborated with another kinder teacher and say, you know what? Bring me your kids so then my kids can use them as a model. Now you can't even tell the difference between my kids and the gen ed kids because they've learned by watching their peers, oh, this is how I need to sit in a class.
Looking around the room, I noticed that nearly half the students with autism weren't participating.
You're bringing them together, but maybe they're still staying apart.
Well, I can't force it on them. It's basically their demeanor and how they do it. Like, for example, Sean and Austin and Miracle, they're much more open to change. Depending on David's temperament, if he's not having a good day, I don't want to force it. We slowly bring them in when they're ready, because if we rush them, then it actually goes against what we're trying to do. We wanted to make a good experience for them.
Right,
yes.
So it takes time.
Exactly, it does take time.
Ready, walking backwards, go!
However, Grandview's elective classes are fully integrated, including physical education,
And here we go!
gardening, and cooking.
Awesome. Let's bring it into your seat.
All this has been a huge transition for teachers.
To meet everyone's needs, you know, it's a lot of work. But we have a physical therapist, occupational therapist, speech therapist, and I work with a resource teacher to meet their needs.
But it seems some teachers were having to spend most of their time focusing on the students with disabilities.
Yeah, there are kids who demand extraordinary instructional time.
Put the sticks in the bucket!
And one of the problems that LA is experiencing is a lot of these regular education teachers and special education teachers are just learning how you do integration.
It's still a work in progress, but Principal Ortiz says he's seeing the benefits.
It's amazing how the kids, their interactions have evolved. If a child needs help, we have gen ed kids who say, hey, I'll take you, I'll go with you. It's creating leadership.
Seeing all these children playing together was undeniably unique.
George a second, Henry, George a second!
I've never seen anything like that.
That is a fundamental statement. You never saw anything like that because you didn't grow up and go to a school where that occurred. Socially, people with disabilities, particularly people with physical disabilities, have been erased from our environment. And so now these kids are going to grow up with each other, and they're going to make friends with each other. And hopefully we'll end up with a group of kids as they go into middle school and high school, expect to be with each other.
But not everyone's happy with the changes.
Brandon, can you tell me whether you understand me?
Brandon Buschini is one of the few students still attending dedicated special education centers.
Okay.
His mother is fighting any plans to move him.
The district tells parents that this is still a gift for their child and that they should be included, and that this is socializing them is important. And they really hang their hat on that versus educating them and providing what they really need.
In our next report, fears about including students with the greatest needs and the unfinished business of fixing special education in Los Angeles. I'm John Tulenko of Education Week, reporting for the PBS NewsHour.